We have now Attorney General Merrick Garland has declined to have the FBI involved in monitoring the search for classified documents at President Biden's home. Why? Well, apparently he decided the president's attorneys were cooperating enough. You heard that right. Biden's lawyers somehow are on the honor system to search for classified documents and report their findings to the FBI, despite the fact that these lawyers do not even have security clearances to do so.
I've been very clear. This is something that the White House counsel is handling. This is something that is being handled by the president's lawyers. I've been very clear. This is why we are being prudent here. This is why we're being consistent with what we have done the last 2 years when it comes to DOJ, Department of Justice investigation. We are just not going to interfere.
We're just not going to interfere. That was White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday, leaving it to President Biden's lawyers. Well, I mean, the obvious question, is this standard operating procedure now for our nation's premier law enforcement agency? Are we supposed to totally forget that the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago under similar circumstances? Well, joining me now to discuss this and more is U.S. Representative Lisa McClain. She serves on the House Oversight Committee, which is one of my favorite, but she also serves on the House Budget Committee, Armed Services Committee, Education and Workforce. She represents the 9th Congressional District of Michigan. And Congresswoman McClain, it is great to see you again. Thank you for joining us this evening on Washington Watch.
It's good to see you again, Jody. Yeah, the hypocrisy here is absolutely deafening. I don't think you can make this up. I mean, I thought justice was supposed to be blind, but it's clear that we have one set of rules for the Democrats and another set of rules for the Republicans. And it's really shameful because the American people know better. But I will tell you this, Jody. This Congress, the 118th Congress, we are going to fight back. And it starts with oversight, and it starts with the Special Select Committee that we've just put in place to take a look at the weaponization of all these agencies, especially the weaponizations of the federal government. It is absolutely ridiculous what is going on. I'm waiting and watching TV to see when the FBI raid is going to raid President Biden's home and go into Jill's closet like they did to President Trump. Oh, wait a second. That's not going to happen. In fact, don't even worry about it. We're not even going to bring the FBI in. Why? Oh, we trust this president, and his lawyers will do just fine. In fact, wait, we found one set of documents. Wait a minute. We found another next to the Corvette. Oh, wait a second. There's another set of documents in his home. And last I checked, wasn't his son Hunter Biden? Didn't he visit or live in that home? Seems extremely suspicious to me. And a complete double standard.
Well, it seems suspicious to many of us. And listen, you bring up some excellent points there. And one of the things, frankly, that causes me to scratch my head with all of this is the Justice Department is saying we're going to trust President Biden's attorneys to look at all this and report back to us. But these attorneys don't even have security clearances. I mean, here we are talking about classified material. These attorneys do not have clearance, and yet the FBI is trusting them. I mean, this would be laughable if it were not really unfolding right before our eyes. What is the issue with these folks not having clearances?
It is a complete double standard. And here's the concern. What is this administration hiding? What do they have to hide? To your point, we're not talking about Jill's secret banana cake recipe. We're talking about classified documents of the United States government, and the people who are handling these documents don't even have a security clearance. How can that even be?
Yeah, I mean, that's the huge question. How can this be? And the apparent double standard is unavoidable. I mean, I don't see how you miss this. And thank you for your comments on that. If I can shift gears on you here in just a few for the couple of moments that we have remaining, we're headed to another standoff over the debt ceiling, and you serve on the House Budget Committee. This is gaining attention in the news media all throughout. What can we expect? What can we anticipate in the coming days?
You can expect a big fight. That much I know for sure. You have the administration saying, I am not going to budge or negotiate on the debt ceiling. Oh, okay. So I thought we had three co-equal branches of government. At least that's what I learned when I was in high school in government class. And you have an administration that says, we're not budging, we're not negotiating. But what they forget is they have to have Congress pass the budget. So I hope that they rethink their position, because the American people are tired of the inflation. They're tired of the government spending money. And I would ask the American people this, because this is what the Biden administration is doing. If you gave your child a credit card and they continued to go over the limit every month, you gave them a limit and they continued to go over it every month, would you increase their limit? That's what this administration is doing, is they have no concern whatsoever on how we're going to pay the debt off, how we're going to continue to fund our mandated programs. I mean, our debt to GDP is over 120%. Well, that means, in simple terms, we spend way more than what we're taking in. That is not a recipe for long-term growth, success, and sustainability. It's not going to work.
Well, you're absolutely right. In fact, I have a clip here, Congresswoman, that I'd like to play for you and get your reaction. This is the White House press secretary criticizing Republicans yesterday, and I'd like to play this and get your reaction.
On Friday, it was reported that Republicans have so-called plan to prioritize payments if Congress fails to address the debt ceiling. So I want to be very, very clear here, as I have been, as the president has been. This is not a plan. It is a recipe for economic catastrophe.
Economic catastrophe. All right, just give me your reaction here. We've only got a little over a minute left.
Incompetence. In one word, it's incompetence. Clearly, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And as I think she does many times, she's just reading from a script. When you are in over your head and you spend more than you take in, you have to prioritize. That is why perhaps it may be in this administration's best interest to actually work with Congress to prioritize what we need to do. Because if this administration does not work with Congress and does not negotiate, it will be on their hands when they decide to default on the debt. We have an obligation to pay our debts. That will not lie on Congress's feet. We will not accept it. That is why we must work together in a logical, economic fashion to get our spending under control. There's a big difference between wants and needs. And again, Jody,
so the federal government, I've got to go out. I'm sorry, but the federal government is not going to default on the debt obligations, correct?
We have if it's up to me, we have an obligation to pay our debts, right? If I make an agreement with you, we have that obligation. But if the White House doesn't want to negotiate and wants to spend more,
I got to go. Thank you so much for joining us.